World Physiotherapy Day. Wish you all a very happy World Physiotherapy Day. Proud to be a physio. The today's topic we are going to discuss on the eve of World Physiotherapy Day is the importance of dry needling in the physiotherapy. Being a physiotherapist, let me tell you some like history about the celebration of World Physiotherapy Day. I want everyone to please mute their mic. Okay, we'll give you the time to for the question or answer, and that time you can unmute your mic and you can ask me any questions. Okay, if you have got any doubt, you can just write in the chat box so that I will see and I can reply. Is that clear to everyone? So please keep your mic at mute. So today we have come up with this free webinar, okay, which was like started by Dr. Navneet Krishna, okay. Since morning, sir has organized almost like 2-3 already free webinar till now, okay. So it's really great things that we all are getting opportunity to learn something practical basis, not just bhasan type, not just as like mic coordinating or something like that. And this webinar is going to be very helpful for everyone. As we all know, like we are physio and we are celebrating today the World Physiotherapy Day, which was first it was celebrated in 1996 by WCPT on 8th of September. The 8th of September is the founding day of the WCPT. The WCPT was founded in 1951 on 8th of September. So like WCPT, they started celebrating this World Physiotherapy Day on 8th of September every year since 1996. So basically it's the 25th World Physiotherapy Day celebration. So we should be thankful to them. Every country, most of the like developed countries, they have got their own Physiotherapy Day celebration. But in India, we are celebrating as World Physiotherapy Day only. Okay. So once again, with you all, very happy World Physiotherapy Day. You know, whose mic is unmute. Kindly mute your mic. I think some noise from Dr. Gunjan, Dr. Gaurav. You have to mute your mic. So please keep your mic muted because it will be a disturbance for other. Okay. So as we all know, like the today, I can hear lots of noise, background noise. Who's that? Please, it's a request for everyone. Still, someone's mic is. I don't know who's. Dr. Navneet sir, can you check Dr. Gaurav? Can you mute your mic? Dr. Anjum Akhtar, please mute your mic. Yeah. Okay, I think it's fine now. So I don't know what sound is coming.
Just a minute, I will check everyone's. Dr. Gunjan, can you just mute your mic? Dr. Gunjan Kharbanda. Yes, now it's fine.
Yep. Okay, so theme of this World Physiotherapy Day celebration is, as we all know, that today is World Physiotherapy Day, and theme is rehabilitation after COVID-19. Okay, so we are suffering from this pandemic, and that's the reason today we all are here virtually. Okay, we cannot be physically present. Okay, but virtually we are here with this webinar, and thanks to Dr. Navneet Krishna for organizing such a webinar so that we are getting time or to interact with each other. Okay, so let's discuss about the dry needling. Okay, so this webinar is only for the guidance and information regarding the effects of dry needling. So this webinar is not letting you or giving you a license to practice dry needling, so keep it in mind. This is the webinar just for the information or guidance about the dry needling, and you will be able to know that what is the importance of dry needling, why we physio are using, and why we are adopting this dry needling in our clinical practice, what's the need of simply this technique. And that's the reason today I'm here to talk about what is its importance in physiotherapy and why we physio are acquiring it. Okay, so it is none of the responsibilities of the either the organizer or the resource person or the instructor or the academy if you are doing anything illegal by practicing dry needling after this webinar. Okay, so please keep it in mind. So basically, whenever we talk about the dry needling, we always talk about the acupuncture, because what it happens, sometimes it's very confusing that whether dry needling or acupuncture is the same thing. Is it the acupuncture only? But it's a big no. There is a lots of difference between acupuncture and the dry needling. The acupuncture is based on the hypothetical theory, okay, and it works on the Q-Chi energy flow. It works on the Q-Chi energy flow, which is says that our body is made up of negative and positive energy. So if there is a disturbance between the positive and negative energy, we start getting the pain. And they say that acupuncture, it works on the meridian point flow. That meridian point flow is not justifiable. Okay, that is just a hypothetical theory. But dry needling, it is totally based on the modern science, modern anatomy and physiology. We can justify that why we are putting this needle over here in dry needling. But in acupuncture, you cannot justify the points. You cannot justify the meridian points, that why you are inserting this needle and what for. Because they have got the fixed point. Okay, this is the point for this problem, this is the point for this problem, but there is no justification. Acupuncture, it works on meridian theory, or dry needling, it works on the pain gate theory and healing theory. Okay, so basically the dry needling is an evidence-based practice. Okay, you can justify its treatment, its effect, its mechanism, but acupuncture, you cannot do that. The second question is coming: are we physio eligible to use dry needling? Why we should use it? That's the main thing, because many a times people might tell you that why we physio are banned to use dry needling, because what it happens in market, I have seen some of the very old article people usually circulate among the groups, among the social media, that physiotherapists have been banned for using dry needling in 13 countries. Yes, it's true, but that article is very old one. If we are talking about the recent advancement, if we are talking about the recent development, that was the old news. Okay. After that, in 2016, that APTA, that American Physiotherapy Association, they have given a clear guideline how a physiotherapist can practice dry needling. Sorry. Okay. So we physio in the India, we practice dry needling on the basis of guidelines of APTA guideline. Different countries, they have given different guidelines how physiotherapist can practice guideline. The guideline was given by some of the guidelines here I have given. Okay, that according to the Federation of State Board of Physical Therapists, okay, they say that physiotherapists can perform and practice dry needling in their clinical treatment process. But the thing is that they should have the valid certificate for that. Without certification, we are not authorized to use that. Then again, the Irish Society of Chartered Physiotherapists, they say that physiotherapists can practice dry needling is the sole responsibility of that chartered physiotherapist. Sole responsibility means they should have the proper certification in order to practice dry needling. Then it was given by APTA, that American Physiotherapy Association. They have given a clear guideline on what basis we can practice, on what basis we cannot practice. They have divided the course in basic and advanced, that is 2 level. Okay, so once you complete 2 levels, you are certified practitioner and you can use the dry needling in your clinical practice. Okay. So on the basis of these guidelines, we are using it. As such, in India, there is no guideline. There is no association who has given guideline till now. Okay, there is no government rules and regulation who says whether a physiotherapist will practice dry needling in India or not. So in India, we are practicing this dry needling on the basis of APTA guideline. Is that clear to everyone? Like how we physiotherapists are using dry needling in our clinical practice. Okay. After that, coming to the why to use dry needling? Why we physio are using dry needling? What is its importance in physiotherapy? We physio know how to treat the pain. We physio have got lots of electro modalities. We physio have got manual therapy, everything. Then why to simply use this dry needling? So for answer to this question, actually, see, if we are looking back into the history of physiotherapy, before that physiotherapy was like kind of, okay, physiotherapy treatment means it's 1 hour treatment. Whenever patient used to come to us, they used to think that, okay, this person is going to treat me for 1 hour. It was like coaching classes. Okay. It was like tuition classes that, okay, if teacher came, he had to teach 1 hour. Okay. So same thinking was in the patient mind also. Physiotherapy means 1 hour, and if any physiotherapist is coming and or whether they are visiting the clinic or whether that physiotherapist is going to home visit, they have to treat for 1 hour. And ultimately, being a physiotherapist, if we are treating one patient for 1 hour, hardly in one day we can see 10 to 12 patients, because ultimately we are also a human being. And in return, what we are getting? Just a small amount of money, which is very hard for our survival. So in order to do advancement, what we did, we started using the advanced technique in order to save our energy, in order to save our time. And that is why we have started using the different techniques. See, dry needling, we are using dry needling mainly for the musculoskeletal pain. Okay. And if we are talking about the musculoskeletal pain, in that musculoskeletal pain, mainly the pain associated with trigger point. That is myofascial trigger point. If you are a good manual therapist, okay, you can release that trigger point nicely in a better way. So there is no need of this dry needling. Again, the point is, then why to use simply? So see, if we are a good manual therapist, take an example. Okay, I'm just taking a common example of trapezitis you can take. Okay, So inflammation of trapezius, upper fiber trapezius, right? So it is very common. And if we are a good manual therapist, at least it will take 10 till 15 minutes continuous work of our both thumb in order to release the upper trapezius nicely if you want really the good result. How about others? Can you hear me?
Okay. Sorry, sometimes network issue. So what it happens, like it will take almost like 10 till 15 minutes continuous work of both the thumb to release that trapezius. Okay. But if we want to treat with the dry needling, okay, just 2 needles and it will take hardly 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes maximum. Just what we have to do, we have to insert the needle and leave it, and we have to talk with that patient for 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. So nothing to worry. क्या करना होता, जस्ट 2 नीडल डाला, आराम से टाइम पास में 2 से 3 मिनट जो है पेशेंट से हंस के बात कर लो. In that 2 to 3 minutes, you are saving your energy of 15 minutes. Continuously, you are saving your thumb as well. Okay, and you will get better results than your mobilization or manipulation technique, manual technique. That's the reason we started using dry needling. We started using dry needling by seeing its results. It has got long-lasting, deeper effect than the manual therapy, than any other technique. Second example I can give you, like take an example of like plantar fasciitis, which is very common nowadays. And if we are talking about the normal physiotherapy treatment, the traditional physiotherapy treatment, minimum it will take a month to treat a plantar fasciitis cases. And in that 1 month also, the patient gets fed up and their pain hardly it get reduced to 50%. And they stop coming in, like सोच लेते हैं let it be, इतना पेन झेल लेंगे. So after 1 month of continuous treatment, but if we are treating that patient, if you are treating plantar fasciitis with dry needling, hard maximum it will need 6 to 7 sessions. Just within 1 session, you can release minimum of, with guarantee minimum of 40 to 50% of the pain you can relieve in 1 session. So that much effective it is. If you want to use K4 laser also or shockwave therapy also for plantar fasciitis, it's not going to give that much effective result, which a dry needle will give. So why not we should use that? It will take almost like half an hour to treat neck pain if someone has got the spasm or trapezitis. But with dry needling, we can treat it in 5 minutes. So why not we should save our energy? Why not we should save our time? And that's the reason we are using it. Okay. So now coming to the, so that is the reason. That is why we are using dry needling in our clinical practice, being a physiotherapist. And this is the importance of dry needling in physiotherapy. Now coming to what is dry needling. So dry needling is a skilled intervention in which we use a thin filamentous needle, that is acupuncture needle, get inserted into the myofascial trigger point in order to break the pain gate cycle and decrease the pain and improve the range of motion. This was the definition given by APTA in 2016. But there are so many pros and cons of using dry needling. It is an evidence-based treatment. So it's not like vague treatment or hypothetical treatment. It has got evidences, okay? Basically, we are using dry needling on the trigger point, and that's the reason sometimes we call it as a myofascial trigger point as on dry needling as well. In indications, if we are talking about the indications in almost like all kind of musculoskeletal pain, you can use dry needling. all type of musculoskeletal pain nowadays, like we are using dry needling in neurological cases, as say, like you can get a best, like good result in foot drop. I think someone's mic is unmute now again. So you can use dry needling with the electrical stimulation in case of foot drop, wrist drop. In case of like hemiplegic patient, okay, paralytic patient, then you can use dry needling with the electrical stimulation in facial palsy, Bell's palsy, and it has got very good results. So dry needling is not like restricted to musculoskeletal pain nowadays. Nowadays we are using in neurological condition as well. And obviously in sports, like we are using dry needling like a hell. We are using a lot. Okay. So this is the reason why we are using. So indications, you can say like it has got very good result in tennis elbow, then it has got very good results, like awesome result in trapezitis. One of the best technique for plantar fasciitis, you can see. Sciatica you can use. Okay, if there is that nerve is compressed between the muscles, okay, then you can easily release. Then you can say in case of frozen shoulder, you can release nicely. Then post-injury stiffness, you can use dry needling. So anyway, you can use that. But coming to the contraindications, we don't recommend doing dry needling on pregnant women, especially in the first and last trimester. If the patient is having carcinoma or sarcogenic like mutation of any of the tissues, then we don't recommend to use dry needling. If the patient is allergic to surgical steel, don't use dry needling. Patient is phobic to needling, don't use dry needling to that patient. In case of hemophilic patient, try to not to use dry needling. Then in case of diabetic patient, you can use if the diabetic reference range is under control. That is, if the glucose level is not more than 200 in fasting, then you can use dry needling, because most of the time, like in case of frozen shoulder, like a patient will be diabetic. You can use that, but the glucose level should not be beyond 200. Is that clear? Now coming to this, how does this dry needle work? Because as such, we are not putting any drugs or anything like that. This dry needling was developed by Janet J. Travel, okay, and C. Salmon, okay. They have developed using this dry needling, and it is a drugless therapy. We don't use any drugs in this needle. Okay. So coming to the mechanism, how does this dry needling work? Okay. So whenever we talk about the dry needling, what we do, we insert the dry needling over the myofascial trigger point. Okay. So whenever we insert the needle over the myofascial trigger point, what we do, we try to create the microtrauma again and again around that area by poking the needles over the trigger point. So whenever trauma is created, what it happens, there will be increase in the local blood circulation around that area. So when the local blood circulation will increase, what will happen? It will activate the platelet-derived growth factor, PDGF, okay. And when this PDGF, that is platelet-derived growth factor, get activated, what it does, it try to attract the cell and the tissues, okay, which accelerate the protein and the DNA synthesis. Which accelerate the protein and the DNA synthesis. I am not going deep, okay, that is physiology again. So like if you are interested, you can just go and read the physiology, muscle physiology, okay. Once that protein and DNA synthesis increases, what it happens? It will accelerate the healing process. And that is how this dry needling works. The second theory, that is pain gauge theory, what it happens, like whenever we are creating the macrotrauma, there will be increase in the fresh blood around that area. And as we all know, when there is increase in the blood circulation, obviously there will be decrease in the pain around that area. That is how this dry needling works. Okay. Then, so what it happens, like how you will decide that whether you have to use dry needling and where you have to use dry needling. So that the selection of dry needling depends on the pain referral pattern. The symptoms which patient will tell you, according to that, you have to correlate that symptoms with the pain referral pattern, and then you have to come over the treatment area, that is the specific muscles, and you have to check whether the trigger point of that area is active or latent. If the trigger point is active, try to just insert the needle over the trigger point. It will deactivate that trigger point. So basically, we have got two types of trigger point in our body. One is latent, which is already present in our body, but doesn't give any sign and symptom, The another one is active trigger point. Once it is active, it will start giving the pain or clinical symptoms in our body. So that is how this dry needling it works. Okay. So indication has already told you, like musculoskeletal pain, headache, frozen shoulder, tennis elbow. In most of the musculoskeletal pain and neurological cases as well, you can use. Okay. Contraindications again. Okay. So like if there is a local infection at the site, don't use. Then patient phobic to needle, don't use. Cancer, diabetes, acute cardiac arrhythmia. In all these cases, you don't have to use. Okay, there are certain things which we have to follow before using dry needling. Okay, types of dry needling is, there are two types of dry needling. One is like superficial dry needling, you can say, and second one is the deep dry needling. Superficial dry needling is mainly for the fascia or the superficial muscles, and deep dry needling is for the deeper muscles. Okay, or tendon and the ligaments. Okay, we have got different size of needle for different muscles or different trigger point. Okay, the main thing in dry needling is the direction of the needle while insertion. So we have to be very careful to insert the needle while inserting the needle in the body. We should not prick the nerve. We should not hurt the nerve. We should not harm any visceral structures after needling. Okay. So basically, this is a gross idea about why we are using, what is its importance in physiotherapy, why we have started being a physiotherapist, why we have started using this needle. So as such, there is no controversy, no professional rivalries of using it. And it's always good to learn some technique, which we can enhance our clinical practice. So that's the reason we are using it. We are getting good result on the patient, and so we are using in our clinical practice, because ultimately what our patient wants is the better relief from us. So why not we should use some alternative technique as well, along with the classical physiotherapy. And that is why we are using this dry needling. Okay. So these are the gross idea about dry needling. So if you have got any doubt, you can ask me. Any questions, anything?
Hello, sir. Is there any chance of nerve injury in dry needling?
Pardon, I didn't get your question, Dr. Rajit.
Is there any chance of nerve injury during dry needling?
Is there not? Is there? There is 100% chance of getting nerve injury. Okay, there is 100% chance of getting nerve injury if you have inserted the needle in the wrong direction. If you have inserted the needle over the nerve, so there is a 100% chance of getting nerve injury. So forget about is there any chance. Always there is 100% chance to get nerve injury, and that's the reason this is an invasive process. And we always recommend to attend the workshop, learn this technique, and then only use on the patient. That's why we never recommend that just go through the YouTube video, learn, and start using it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, there is one more question by Dr. Ritika. Okay, if a patient has calcification on lateral epicondyle that mimics pain like tennis elbow, will dry needling work or cupping? Is there any chances of increase in the calcification because of it? See, if there is a calcification on the lateral epicondyle, that means better. If better, you can do. If that calcification is very hard enough, you can break that calcification with the dry needling. But along with the dry needling cupping, yes, cupping it will work more better than dry needling in that cases. And I don't think there will be increase in the calcification because of it. No, I don't think so. Okay, there's more questions. Okay, question by Dr. Tanu. How elderly patient done due to skin issue? How elderly patients done due to skin issue? I didn't get your question, Dr. Tanu. Can you just clear your question? There's a question by Zoya. Can we be certified dry needling therapist in India? Is there any course and what is the process? Yes, Dr. Zoya, you can get certified as a dry needling practitioner, and we do organize a certificate course in dry needling. Okay, it is 2-level course, basic and advanced. Like most probably by next month, Dr. Navneet is organizing in Delhi, so you can contact Dr. Navneet. Okay, he can tell you the details. Okay. Dr. Parmar, you can directly contact Dr. Navneet Krishna because next month he is organizing in Delhi. Okay, so he can tell you all the details about the courses. Okay, criteria of using which diameter needle we should use. Dr. Rajni, the criteria for using the needle size depends on the area, depend on the like muscle fiber, then depending on the structures involved in that area. Also, it depends on the whether the muscle is superficial or deep. So these are the few criteria which on the basis of which we decide the needle size. Okay, Dr. Rahul Das. Okay, duration of dry needling. See, basically, we keep the needles for 3 to 5 minutes maximum. That is more than sufficient to get the result. Okay, then again, question by Dr. Rachit Singh. What are the most dangerous part on the body to get injured? You can say pneumothorax. Yeah, it's very common pneumothorax, and because of this, lung puncture only, that physiotherapist has been barred in 13 countries in 2011, and this was the case in US. Okay, so pneumothorax is one of the most serious conditions. Okay, skin is loose in elderly patient. How can be done? See, it's nothing like that we are doing on the skin. We are using dry needling on the muscles and the trigger point. Okay, so if the skin is sloppy, that doesn't mean that we can use the smaller needle, because as we know in elderly patient, yes, the muscle will be less. So what we will do, we will use the smaller needle. Is that clear, Dr. Sanu? Okay, then Dr. Upasana, is there any age limit for dry needling? Yes, there is an age limit. Like we don't recommend. The book says that we should not needle below 12 years of age. But upper age, there is no limitation. So you can use it in any age. Any more questions? Okay, any infection or trauma occurs due to dry needling, which is just one more question. Which is best for pain relief, cupping or dry needling? See, Dr. Parmar, it depends on the condition. Okay, which condition you want to use. Okay, and like infection might happen in case of dry needling also, or in case of wet cupping also. Okay, if you have not taken care of proper sanitization technique. Okay, for proper sterilization technique, you have to use the gloves, you have to use the single pre-sterilized needles. We don't recommend to use the same needles again on the same patient also. So if you have taken care of proper sterilization technique, there will be no infection as such. Okay, there is a question by Dr. Manisha. Which area can we insert needle? All over the body we can insert the needle, Dr. Manisha. Even we are inserting on the eyebrow, we are inserting on the face, we are inserting on the jaw, we are inserting on the lips. So you can say all over the body. Only thing is that we have to be very careful while inserting. We are inserting needle in the head. So you cannot say which area. All over the body we can insert. Okay, what precautions we should suggest the patient after dry needling treatment? Okay, after dry needling treatment, after there is no precautions, but we ask the patient not to go for vigorous activity or like a vigorous ADL activity. Don't go for immediately for a sports activity or something like that. We always ask the patient to use hot pack or cold pack after the dry needling treatment in order to decrease the soreness. Dr. Rahul, is there any chance of breaking the yes? Sometimes the needle might break from the Johnson. And that's the reason we never insert 100% of the needle inside the body. Okay, we only insert 70 to 80% of the body, needle in the body. Is it very painful while inserting? No, not at all. Dr. Neha, it's not painful at all. Just a pinprick sensation. Sometimes it happens, but many a times the patient doesn't know that whether we have inserted the needle or not. So it's not painful at all. Any more questions?
Dr. Sita, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there. Any
Yes.
more
And
questions?
yeah, anything. And really, I'm very thankful to the moderator, okay, Dr. Sita Singh and Dr. Jagannath and Dr. Rupa. Okay, they are the one who worked a lot, who worked hard for this webinar to happen, and this is their effort that you all are attending this webinar. So really thanks to Dr. Sita Singh, Dr. Jagannath, and Dr. Rupa. Because of them only, we are attending this webinar and I'm here as a guest lecturer. So thanks to them, okay?
Thank you so much, sir, for your recognition. I think we had finished the webinar for today. So I guess by within 48 hours, e-certificate will be allotted to all the participants. So kindly cooperate for those things. Thank you, everyone.
So thank you so much, Dr. Sita, Dr. Rupa, and Dr. Jagannath. Okay, and thanks to Dr. Navneet Krishna. And thank you everyone for listening me. And please wait for the certificate, and you will get the certificate automatically. So don't get bothered that I haven't got my certificate and all these things. Okay. So just wait. We will send you because we have got so many webinars in one day. So obviously we will send one by one. Okay. So it will take some time. So thank you everyone. Stay home. Stay safe. Take care. Yeah.